Sup goats, it's JOAT and welcome back to a new video. So today I'm going to be showcasing my 10 favorite bass/electronic/EDM projects of 2021. Had to adjust the camera real quick, so yes, I know this video is over 3 weeks late, but I did have COVID-19, so please do give me some lenience on my lateness. Yeah, I'd say 2021 was a pretty good year for dubstep and beyond overall for EDM. So I decided to narrow all the good releases we got over the last year down to my top 10. These are in no specific order. I'm gonna just run through them one by one. And yeah, I do hope that my descriptions and thoughts of these projects pique your interest enough to the point where if you don't know about them, you do go check them out. Yeah, without further ado, how about we just get right into the first project? One of the most intricate and objectively impressive releases of last year, showcasing some of the best IDM I've ever heard. I'm talking about the Explorative Scenery EP by Stasys. So Halcyon really started pushing IDM when their Spectromorph EP dropped back in like April, and it's a genre that I dipped a toe or two into, but I wasn't really familiar with it back then, though I have been a longtime fan of Neuro and IDM are closely linked stylistically, and I was impressed with Stasys' output before stumbling across this EP. The three-way collab on that very EP, Bovel and Beauvoir off of Halcyon Cerebrum Volume 1, and some Lucy's on the SoundCloud page as well really piqued my interest to his shit. So yeah, I already had eyes on bro beforehand, and my standards after listening to all that music, which I thought was great, my standards were high for this EP. Still, what we got on here broke through those standards by a significant margin. Not just because, obviously it is IDM, so the sound design is going to be breathtakingly good, but also the awe-inspiring musicality on it. And as I come across more and more underground IDM, to me, sometimes it sounds like more effort is being put into the detail of the sound design over the product being musically captivating, like it's a sound design flex. It's like the equivalent of fast rapping that's just being fast for the sake of being fast. Sure, it's technically proficient and pretty cool to listen to initially, but it's musically mediocre. This EP is not that. It's not that at all. It brings out the best in both worlds. Intricate sound design and beautiful musicality, sometimes reserved, sometimes kept to itself, sometimes shimmering full force. Yeah, this is the most impressive collection of IDM music I've heard to date. So many bits of sound are built around the core foundation of these 4 tracks, but they don't divert your attention from the music's purpose or main idea. They blend in just enough to make it more complex while still following the rhythm, if that makes sense. And this is made most prevalent on track 3, Seismic, which is my favorite off the EP. Though when it comes to favorites, Reef Glide follows close behind because of the intro alone, unreal intro. But yeah, the other 2 tracks are nothing short of stellar as well. Yeah, amazing work from Stasys. The effort is made clear and the product is amazing. If you're intrigued as to what the more detailed, intricate, and intelligent side of electronic music sounds like, make sure to give this EP a listen. I highly recommend it. So the second project here, NSD release, the first I'm going to be talking about, Akeos with a Material EP. So my core viewer base knows how much I loved this EP initially after y'all watched that live review vid, but I'm happy to say it's growing on me even more. This is one of those EPs that you know is good to begin with, but still needs time to sink in so you can appreciate it even more. There's no debate that Akeos is the most crucial figure in the sphere of new rhythm since originally dropping the Labyrinth EP almost 3 years ago. This EP is nowhere as influential or as groundbreaking as that EP was, but nonetheless, the music on here, it fails to disappoint. I'd even go as far and say that it's my favorite Akeos EP yet. The drops here are bouncy, energetic, have this steady momentum, all tropes of a lot of their music, but y'all might be asking, what makes this specifically my favorite project of theirs thus far? Well, for one, the stark contrast in approach with every track here. I mean, sure, all of them fall into the subgenre new rhythm, that's for sure. But sonically, the sound palette of these 4 tunes respectively, they just have nothing to do with the other than you get this overwhelming feeling that Akeos is behind the making of the songs. Yeah, sure, there are slight low points across this EP. The first drop of fiber optic material and the second drop of health material don't work 100% for me. Not as impressive, especially compared to the rest of this just stunning EP, but they're still solid. Those individual drops, I don't mind them. Yeah, I'm honestly stunned at how much this EP has grown on me despite initially already really liking it. And the way Akeos just does so much with so little, especially on Blood Material, track 2, which is my favorite. Yeah, I just have so much more to say about this EP that I did not say in my live review video of it. So much shit I've picked up on with the songs. Honestly, just the pinnacle of new rhythm. Akeos continues to be the most crucial figure in the entire scene. And by the looks of that 2022 showcase, to kind of diverge from talking about this EP, it seems like they're almost entirely moving away from dubstep this year. But honestly, I couldn't be happier for them because they have won rhythm. They truly have. And the intensity of this EP, of the Material EP, is relentless and unstoppable. If you are into any sort of modern dubstep, give this thing a try. You will not be disappointed. Alright, second Never Say Die release, an EP that dropped about a year ago by now, dropped at the very beginning of 2021, end of January. Of course, y'all know I'm talking about UBUR's Relinquish EP. So UBUR is an artist who I've grown to absolutely love over the past 2 years. I've always had respect for him as a producer, but his stuff hadn't 100% clicked with me till the Painful Choice EP dropped. And this EP right here, this collection of songs, shows him at his very best, in my opinion. The opener, Relinquish, with Sizzy, is a tune that I'd already been anticipating from his Brain Drain showcase, the first ID off of it. Hell, his tear out kind of death step style is what got me into his shit initially, so there was no way I disliked this tune. But the 3 tracks that follow are anything but similar to the first. Track 2, Geeked Up, is a hybrid trap, freeform, space-based hybrid, and it just reeks of UBUR, flavorful and pronounced. And as of late, Geeked Up is right up there with Relinquish for me, neck to neck. I don't know which one to choose at this point as my favorite off of this EP. I can't describe how good those tunes are, those 2 tracks, and the ones that follow as well. Milk Argument is good old rhythm. This is gonna sound weird, but that specific track sounds black and white to me for some reason. I can't describe how. Maybe the cover art takes part of my synesthesia there. That doesn't mean I don't love this tune. With its wacky movement and croaky, growly fills, and those ridiculous ass vocal samples that just inject a little humor into the tune. And the final track, Bulletproof, just transcends dubstep into the D&B/jump up realm. Kind of melodic, minimal, thick bass lines, and the pacing and progression of it is just right to make for a riveting experience. And you know what else is a riveting experience? This EP. I had to just run through these tunes individually because I don't know how to sum them up very well, but the Relinquish EP is swampy and focused and multifaceted, and every single track works. And I tend to appreciate EPs even more if the tracks stylistically don't sound like each other at all, while sonically screaming the name of the producer behind the music. So that's the case 100% here. And like I said, this EP dropped just about a year ago, right at the start of 2021. And it still continues to be in my top 10 of last year. Amazing work from UBUR. I do hope he stays in the tear out lane somewhat, but still continues to pursue as many styles of EDM as possible, because so far, every avenue he's gone in goes very, very hard. Alright, so next up, the most underground, unknown pick on my list here. Punishment's Combust EP. Possibly the most relentless and unforgiving release of the bunch here. Death Step legend Punishment casually releasing 2 EPs last year. Both were unreal, but I do prefer this, the Combust EP, over the other, the Noxious EP. This is the earlier one of the two. I don't even know when he dropped an EP last before Combust. I don't remember him dropping a project ever, to be honest, and I've been following him for about 6 years now. Nonetheless, this thing is metallic and liquidy and grimy and showcases the most gruesome sounds that underground dubstep has to offer. It is a Death Step EP, not gonna lie, but it does take influence from Tear Out and Minatory, some points more than others. Take track 3, Sputum, which is my favorite. Its B sections are just noise, really. Harsh walls of white noise just enveloping a single tonal sustain note. These staticky, narrated, brief intros open up these tunes, crackling with feedback. It sounds like something from an analog film from the 60s or 70s, an analog horror film. And the drops are layered with screeches and shrieks of some sort that just add to the grotesque sound of this EP. One of the heaviest and most punk collection of dubstep songs of 2021. The guns just beat down on your eardrums with exact precision to the point where it exhausts you, but after it's all over, you want to give it 15 more listens. Unbelievable project. Give it a try. It is available on Bandcamp in full for those wondering. But yeah, worship the punny. Alrighty, so the second Halcyon release on show here. Yet again, another diverse project, an artsy EP, I'd say. eliderp's Azimuth EP. So I'd only known eliderp to make this clunky, chunky, gritty style of dubstep through Struct and his Joe B collab, kind of displayed on track 1 of this EP, Can't Explain. Well, Can't Explain is a little more tonal than what I'd expected of him, but that was the direction I more or less anticipated him to go in. But the rest of this EP, what do I even say about it? Tracks 2 and 4, the drum and bass tracks are just insane. The steady progression, the melodic touches, the texture, everything's perfect. Those two, Petrify and Blade, are my favorites off this EP. The Noir collab is a fruitful take on Future Rhythm, melodically ballad-like, and has its fair share of gritty, dirty bass lines as well. eliderp loves to incorporate those to just add some heaviness, and Destination with Enazai is hyperpop like I've never heard it before. Some palpable bars from Enazai backed by this booming, glitchy beat. Big melodicity across this EP too. It carries a lot of the storytelling of the tracks and adds a certain level of grace and majestic edge. Yet again, an EP difficult to sum up. It's multifaceted. You can go to this to experience a whole range of emotions. The arrangement and development of the songs and the track list, it's a whole mood swing. But it's not just ups and downs you experience on this thing. There's lefts and rights and forwards and backwards. And directions we don't even have the words for yet that exist in higher dimensions. Stellar production, stellar musicality, refreshing sound design, gorgeous vocal sampling and vocal featuring. I feel a weird sense of triumph when I finish this EP, I guess because it fucks with you so much on an emotional level. And you could say front to back it is disjointed or incoherent. But it's all about perspective, really. I mean, I see it more as a collage of beautiful odds and ends all packaged into an EP and executed in the most magical way. I said something along the lines of future world music in my review of this EP, and I still stand by that. It's electronic music, cinematic music, and world music all rolled into one, like a futuristic soundtrack. Amazing EP, amazing EP. I love it so much. eliderp is a force to be reckoned with, and I hope he drops another project of this caliber with so much diversity to sink your teeth into. I'm losing my voice for some reason, I don't know why, but next up is one of the darkest and most disturbing projects I heard last year, all for the better for show. That is the Dance of Death EP by Shades. So Shades is a duo between Eprom and Alex Perez, which are two producers whose music I am not familiar with individually. I know virtually none of Alex Perez's discog and only a handful of Eprom songs like Fleshnet and Beast of Babylon, of course. But when they join forces, let me tell you, the monstrosity of a supergroup they create. Goodness, this EP. Let me get one thing out of the way. Apart from the intro, these songs on show, beats. They are beats. Noisy, distorted, avant-garde beats at that. Yeah, simple, crunchy trap percussion. The bass lines are deep cutting, drawn out, and filtered gradually to enunciate the sheer size of them. And yeah, that intro tune I was mentioning earlier, it's drumless. It serves as a perfect introduction to what we get after. I'd say it's a blend of noise and drone, with these walls of noise and dissonant harmony filling out the mix. Cavernous reverb and endless delay feedback of the overdriven vocal samples add to the hellish soundscape of this EP. It's an experience. It's unnerving and harsh. If you like your bass music to be rudimentary at its core but experimental to a noticeable extent, then this is for you. Oh, and your tolerance for distorted sub-basses and blistering noise has to be significantly high to get into this. Luckily, my tolerance for that kind of shit is near infinite, so I'm good to go. I've only been a Shades fan since The Corruption dropped about half a year ago. That was the lead single of this EP. And I have some music of Shades that I have to get through. They've been dropped a few EPs and even an LP like 3 or 4 years ago. But yeah, love this EP. It's bone crushing. Give it a listen for sure. Yep. Next up for y'all, I'm going to showcase another EP that sounds like it's straight out of the 2017 Death Step scene, right up there with Evil Wave and Code Pandorum and the rest of the Crow's Nest scene. Only difference is the freshness of the production screams 2021. Of course, I'm talking about Antima's The Vision EP. This project consists of a vicious set of tunes coded in this Death Step grind. It's ambitious, it's forceful, it's all over the place. Not stylistically all over the place, but movement-wise. Its twists and turns are all directed to make for a great listening experience. It's not just mindless noise being pushed out of the speakers. And Antima made sure that not a single moment of this EP felt lackluster or boring or tedious or any of that. Main thing that stood out to me on here is how much variation there is, really. The switch-ups are unpredictable and wild. I feel like the way Antima does it on here on this EP specifically, you don't hear very much of in the scene anymore. And that's not a shot towards dubstep and its modern form, but Antima's variation is very creative and eventful, and I felt like I had to shout it out. And on top of the unexpected progression, these songs have you locked in, like in an unhealthy way almost. I felt my blood pressure rising listening to this shit. And sometimes I get the feeling the music itself cannot keep up with its own momentum. The tension and pacing is so off the wall, especially with track 3, New Dawn, which is my pick of the bunch. But make sure to give this whole EP a shot, especially if you're into heavy and grimy dubstep. It's fire from front to back, and I cannot praise it enough for it being such a wild ride. Okay, first compilation on show here. I wasn't about to only feature EPs on this list, but Interval Audio's Neo Subculture. It was this or Without God Sees Next when it comes to Interval, but this one's more consistent. It is my favorite Interval comp of 2021. This is a compilation focused around hard wave, which is a term that I've only really been familiar with for the last half year or so. It's a genre that, as I understand it, focuses around the neo-rave aesthetic made up of predominantly swirling, hypnotic, and futuristic melodies and surging respaces. It's that kind of music that feels retro yet futuristic at the same time, like it's 40 years old or will only exist in 40 years. That's the type of vibe. Trap percussion also gets paired with all that a lot of the time, but when it comes to drums, I've heard breakbeats and techno grooves and everything else in between being put forth under the hard wave categorization. And to be honest, I found myself falling in love with the genre, thanks to this compilation actually, which not only formally introduced me to what hard wave's all about, but it showed me how versatile the genre can be and what it has to offer. I found every single track on here to be beautiful to some extent in their own way. My favorites off this thing are Secrets by Wealth, Neurochemistry by Serenity, and Plus Ultra by Taneki, which probably ranks in my top 10 songs of last year. But that's not to undermine how good every other song is on the comp and how they build upon each other to flesh out the aesthetic that we now know as Neo Subculture. Love this comp, it's amazing. Gotta shout out the producers who took part on this thing. Taneki for not only having a song on the comp, but also curating it as well. And the owner of Interval Audio, Troy, of course, for introducing me to this style of music, because I could see it having a significant impact on the trajectory of this decade's EDM. So make sure to give it a listen. Okay, second to last project already. First LP on show here. Had to give it to Kuatari's Linepulse LP, Never Say Die release. Kuatari is a 16-year-old producer who I've known for a minute now. Listening to his stuff a year ago when basically no one had heard of him, I already knew that little bro had potential. And when he told me he was landing on Never Say Die about 8 to 9 months ago, I wasn't really surprised. His production level at his age is mind-boggling. It's comparable to more Kismet, to be honest, but the comparisons end there. His music, and specifically this LP, is its own thing. Linepulse LP contains not only the best music I've heard from him so far, but it contains some of the best music from Never Say Die last year. This was my favorite NSD LP of 2021. This LP knows no genres and no categorizations. It's top tier eclectic, so many different styles of music, and I don't even want to go there because this thing is so stylistically all-encompassing, from dubstep to D&B to ambient to cinematic to acoustic. And sure, I do like some spots more than others. I do like some tracks more than others, sure. But the way the songs flow, the LP flows as an entire experience, the mix of melodicity, glossy futurism, and intricate sound arrangement, is nothing short of amazing. My pick off of this thing is the outro track, Lost Dog. It has this narrated passage from the man himself, and it has a whole bunch of downtime to get you in your feelings too. A perfect way to end out this hour-long journey. If you're looking for some forward-thinking bass music that's broken up by so many different styles of music from each and every crevice of the music spectrum, then please do give this thing a shot. It still sits at under 10,000 plays on SoundCloud, which is criminally underrated. It definitely deserves being released under the largest predominantly dubstep label out there. Alright, let's get into this final project I'm going to be covering. It is a remix album, actually. It's a remix comp from the greatest to ever do it in drum and bass. This is Noisia's The Resonance 1. This thing features some of the most promising up-and-coming names in the D&B and neuro scene and beyond. This is the release that I can't talk about very much since what is there to say, really? I mean, it's venturous, ambitious electronic music that twists and turns and meanders through various stages, progressing and developing, forming into some great songs. Top 3 got to be the Caracal Project and Grey Code remix, the Amanu remix, and the Bunshin remix, which is my favorite period from the compilation, the Bunshin tune. But every song is just great, nothing short of great. It reminded me of why I fell in love with D&B and neuro in the first place, like back in the Meth Lab days, anticipating the next Dark Step Warrior upload. And I do hope Noisia have more of these coming before they retire the alias under which the trio's operated for over 1.5 decades now. And I'm sure they do because it is numbered Roman numerically, so yeah, beyond excited for the next iteration. Not only have Noisia proven time and time again that they're amazing producers, but they also have some really great curation skills. This comp and Vision as a label are unreal. Yeah, guys, that was it. Those were my 10 projects of 2021, 10 electronic music projects of 2021. Like I said, I do hope y'all are intrigued to get into the releases that y'all have not listened to yet. I try to cover as much ground as possible making this list. Tried to make it as diverse as possible stylistically. I will leave the streaming links to all these projects in the description below. Support the producers and make sure to let me know in the comment section what y'all did think of this list as a whole. And if you enjoyed the video, as always, make sure to follow my socials, join my Discord, follow my Twitter, all links in the description, of course. This has been your boy JOAT, and these have been my 10 EDM bass electronic music releases of 2021. Take care and peace.